I know this is a PD2 channel, but if you've been here for more than a week, you know I love film, philosophy, and politics. I'm also a giant nerd, and Star Wars is dope. I spent more of my life than I want to admit playing Star Wars Old Republic and learning obscure Star Wars lore. I'm also a big fan of the YouTuber Critical Drinker, and to be as hipster as possible, I joined his channel years ago when he was nobody, and it's been fun to see him rise to one of the giants of YouTube. But as a Star Wars fan and a Critical Drinker fan, I have a bone to pick, and I'm using my small channel to do so. I love Ahsoka Tano, and the new show is actually great. Not good, but great. If you don't know who Ahsoka Tano is, you're a pleb and I dislike you. She's one of the best characters added to the Star Wars universe ever. If I was an executive and someone pitched making an animated Star Wars kids series set between movies 2 and 3, and you told me, hey, we have this cool new Padawan apprentice, and get this, she's Darth Vader's fucking apprentice, and she's gonna mesh perfectly into the story as to explain why she isn't in episode 3, I would have slapped the guy who pitched that story and fired him. That's just what Dave Filoni did. He actively made Star Wars Episode 3 better by introducing this character. I cannot understate how crazy that is. And I'm not joking that my wife and I love this character. Here's a picture of her disc plates over her gaming PC. Based on the Drinkers and Friends criticisms, I think they boil down to 3 things. This show is huge on girl power, and there's contrivances all over the place, and it's a show with another MacGuffin, a device used to push the story forward at the center and nothing else. Let's take that last criticism first, the MacGuffin. In fiction, a MacGuffin is an object, device, or event that is necessary to the plot and motivations of the characters, but insignificant, unimportant, or irrelevant in itself. I hate Wikipedia definitions. It's something there to simply push the story forward, but doesn't make any sense. We actually had a MacGuffin in the new Star Wars trilogy, and it's awful. The Sith Wayfinder leading everyone on a crazy journey to find this new Sith planet with a bunch of mega Death Star-esque Star Destroyers on it, and a magical knife that somehow matches the wreckage of the original Death Star. Yeah, this MacGuffin sucks because it makes no sense. The characters around the MacGuffin are flat, boring, and irrational, and the entire premise of that MacGuffin is taking us to a new, super deadly overpowered bad guy. It's just lame. Why is Sidious doing this again? He's cloning himself to become Snoke, because he's got like something bigger than the Death Star, so the original Death Star was just like a placeholder for his master plan. Yeah, these movies stink. First, I don't hate MacGuffins like other film fans. MacGuffins are perfectly fine things to use in the world, and characters around the MacGuffin are great. Please tell me how the One Ring in Lord of the Rings isn't a MacGuffin, because it fucking is. It's a magical do-everything ring that kills the bad guy if we just drop it in this one lava pit. There's no need to power up like Super Saiyans and use our pain and experience to grow as characters. We just need to dump the MacGuffin One Ring into the lava pit and we win. Game over, man. Game over. But in Lord of the Rings, the world is expansive. I mean, Tolkien created a new language and then made a story around that. The characters do develop in significant ways, and the ring is just there to push the story forward, but it's not there to develop the characters. The MacGuffin in the new Star Wars trilogy is developing them. It's leading them to the place that will supposedly cause a change in their character, and that's why it stinks. Their characters don't change unless they hit the new world with the super dangerous thing. Now we need to see how they deal with the super dangerous thing. The character development needs to be independent of the MacGuffin, then the MacGuffin's just fine. So through 3 episodes of Ahsoka, our MacGuffin, essentially a Sith Wayfinder, is there to push the story forward. But the characters are clashing independently and developing outside of the MacGuffin. Ahsoka and Sabine are clashing over their mistakes and past pain. David Tennant, the awesome robot, is developing them both and trying to solve their issues independent of the MacGuffin. And our bad new guys, who are fucking sweet by the way, are also revealed to have with deep, interesting personality quirks independent of the MacGuffin. Calling out a MacGuffin is not carte blanche to shit on a franchise, and if it is, then kick Lord of the Rings to the curb. Next, there is girl power on the show. Now, the female characters are all trying to seek out and find their friend Ezra, a male, and the big bad guy, Thrawn, who, for Star Wars fans, might be the most interesting character ever put into lore. He's also male. Google Ahsoka is a male fantasy, and you will find feminist blogs literally bitching about it being a male power trip of powerful women lusting after the long-lost man. Nothing about these characters reeks of toxic feminism in the slightest. Hell, you could even gender swap most of them and nothing about their character changes. Again, there's a difference between a strong female character and just a strongly developed character who happens to be female. Maybe this show will go off the rails, but never once through Clone Wars, split through 2 development phases, Star Wars Rebels, which is good outside of the art style, and even Ahsoka's appearances in Mandalorian has Dave Filoni ever pumped up Ahsoka Tano as a strong female character. To claim otherwise is just showing you didn't pay attention to her character through anything she was ever in. I have a simple principle in life. Shut up if you don't know what you're talking about, and I think I proved that on this channel by stopping very popular series I was making when it got out of my wheelhouse. Imagine how big this channel would be if I kept the PD2 Power Ranking series going. It's just irresponsible as a critic to bitch about strong female characters, because it's a buzzword when this character doesn't fit that mold. Hell, Ahsoka Tano's more in line with great female leads the drinker likes, like Ellen Ripley, for example, who is my favorite character over all time over any medium. Lastly, contrivances. Again, definitely not what's going on here. A contrivance is something conveniently placed for the story to move forward that doesn't work independently with the story. The biggest one I heard Drinker and his friends bitch about was the Star Destroyer construction yard, where, spoilers here finally, Ahsoka and the General Lady get a tip on something going down at this yard, and right as they find out what's going on, some droid shouts out the bad guy is actually just over there trying to escape right now. That's barely a contrivance. If you wanted a completely contrivance-free thing, you'd have to have, got the droid to give the location of the bad guy from its databanks because it logs everyone going in and out of the shipyard. And then we have a scene switch and travel to the new location, and there's the bad guys. We found them. There's no more contrivance. This is just good editing. We don't need to switch scenes, and the Star Destroyer construction yard is a cool place for a fight. So let's just slam them in there at the time our characters arrive. I agree this could have been written better. For example, one of the Imperial sympathizers shouts, "For the Empire!" before firing his gun, which is, a little dumb. But a quick rewrite here, and he fires before shouting, "Long live the Empire," and Ahsoka, force sensitivity, smacks him down, and then he yells, "For the Empire," and it's fine. Same thing for the contrivance on the starship where Ahsoka starts distracting Bad Padawan with her blades. A quick set of dialogue where Bad Master Sith Man says, "Hey, shoot the engines out and blow up the ship." The Bad Padawan girl says, "Sorry, I'm losing you, Master," and switches off the comm. Bad Padawan 2 says, "What the fuck, dude?" Bad Padawan Girl 1 says, "There's no glory in blowing up the ship. I want her." And we get a little bit of character development about the hubris of Bad Girl Padawan 1. Clunky dialogue this is, but that is not new to Star Wars. And I'm not excusing this. I admit this is clunky dialogue, but a contrivance? Come on now. Drinker, you're never going to see this, but my God, this is one of the only takes of yours. It's not the only take I've disagreed with, but it is the one that made me go, well, now he's in the pop culture, and the outrage machine just gets more clicks. So I guess we need to shit on a great show as if it's not great. And I want you all to watch Ahsoka without spoiling too much, because I assume if you're 30-something nerd playing Diablo, you have nostalgia like the rest of us. Episode 4 was perfect for Star Wars nerds. If you want to know how Star Wars works, it's based on 2 concepts, really. Family and samurai. Not space wizards, space samurai. If you want to see where Lucas and Tarantino, for that matter, took all their inspiration from, go check out Seven Samurai and all the old Japanese films from the 1950s. It's a westernized and romanticized version of samurai, but it's still the core concept. Matter of fact, look at Qui-Gon Jinn. He is the last true Jedi in the world, obeying honor, hope, and the living force. He's actually suspected to be a gray Jedi by the rest of the Council and is not trusted. That's why he's not on the Council. The Jedi have indulged themselves in actually a very Eastern philosophy of denying all emotions to center themselves. But that's not what the Jedi should be, which is why in the canonized and now decanonized Legend sequels, the new Jedi Order under Luke lets the Jedi love and have families. The Duel of Fates playing in the background when Qui-Gon fights Maul is because if Anakin, the One, gets to be trained under the last true Jedi, Qui-Gon, everything would go swimmingly. It doesn't. Hence the Duel of the Fates, the dual fates of Anakin Skywalker. Now, Ahsoka is the last true Jedi around, kind of like Qui-Gon, and she embodies that by her actions, and that's where I'm going to talk about the show. She's not completely centered and emotionless. Hell, she's been forged in the fires of the Clone Wars since she was a fucking teenager, and brings some of that aggression into Episode 4 of Ahsoka. When she lines up to fight Bad Sith Padawan 2, she immediately goes into an aggressive stance. I believe that's Form 5. Don't quote me on that. But it's aggressive nonetheless. Sith Padawan 2 goes into an equally aggressive stance. I believe that's Form 4, believing the Jedi will switch out and go defensive. She doesn't. She's a warrior, and she stays in that aggressive stance. There's even a great cut where, even with the mask on, you can tell Bad Sith Padawan 2 is like, what the fuck, bro, and attacks. And great editing on that, by the way. You can actually do this. They tell actors to stop acting when they do long face shots because they know that the music and feel of the scene in the background will take care of that emotion for everyone. You don't actually have to act through those scenes. And they managed to pull that off with a masked character, which is phenomenal. They mirror this scene again when Ahsoka cites Bad Sith Master Guy, a former Jedi. They both refuse to go into stances and tip their hand, but Ahsoka breaks first and hits that aggressive stance again. Bad Sith Master, being a former Jedi, goes into Form 3, Soresu. That's what Obi-Wan uses. It's a defensive stance, and he doesn't change out of it. Ahsoka gives the same kind of what the fuck look the bad Padawan just gave to her, and we get this great juxtaposition of the Jedi-ish character in Ahsoka being an aggressor, and the Sith guy playing defense, which actually plays perfectly into his character. I'm so sad Ray Stevenson died because this character is the most interesting person added to Star Wars since Ahsoka herself. That's just a tip of the iceberg. If you are into Star Wars, there's so much more in this show that proves Filoni is nerding out about this, and I just don't believe he's either going to girl power it up, make MacGuffins ruin the story, or have a bunch of contrivances in it when we're introducing Thrawn. It's like Henry Cavill doing the 40K show. I have absolute faith in it because it's not going to get put out unless it's perfect. And while this hasn't been perfect, I just believe it's going to take off. And it already did in episode 4. So go watch the show. Fuck you, drinker. And I still like you, though. Kinda. See you guys later.